All right, so the notes for today are pretty short and to the point. Um, just want to make sure you know that these notes plus the reading that you're also assigned to do today are going to be on a quiz on Friday. I might give you some more notes tomorrow to kind of color the reading that you're doing today, but either way, the notes here and the reading is what's going to be on the quiz. We're going to start doing something else tomorrow, but it's not going to be on the quiz on Friday. So notes plus reading is what you need for the quiz. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit, just briefly. We're doing 2 slides about state and federal courts. So we've got the system in the United States called federalism. Pretty much what that means is we've got different levels of government. You've got local governments, state governments, federal or national government. And all of these are independent from each other. They can all act on their own. However, they all are supposed to be working together. And there's kind of like a chain of command. Like local governments have to listen to state governments, which have to listen to the federal government. The federal government is the big guy in charge. So that's the system. And under that system in the Constitution, court systems exist at both the state level and at the federal level. So there are state courts, which we looked at a little bit yesterday, and there are federal courts, which is what you're going to read about today. And not that this is important, you don't need to know about state courts before 1945, but since 1945, they pretty much operate the same way. The procedures are the same. Same rules kind of apply to both. And just in general, in broad terms, state courts handle disputes that arise under state law, and federal courts handle disputes that arise under federal law. So, what does that really mean? How many cases are going through both? Where are these disputes arising? And primarily, these disputes are arising in state courts. 98% of all criminal cases are decided in the state court. So, most of the time, if you see like a criminal court, a crime in federal court in the news, a lot of times it'll be something that has to do with like, someone did a white collar crime, like insider trading or something. That's typically a federal offense. But most of the time, and I mean, this isn't like completely black and white, but most of the time, if you see like, like a murder trial or someone, robbed a car or something like that, those are going to be state crimes, unless they're happening in like 2 different states. Typically, most everything is going to go through state court, and in these state courts, really only a tiny percentage of cases are decided by trial. Because of our constitutional rights and the Bill of Rights, and because of some of the landmark cases that we're going to look at later, you have rights in both state and federal court that can be taken away. One of those is a trial. Like they can't just convict you of a crime without putting you on trial. You have to have a trial by a jury of your peers, which means like people from your same walks of life are the ones that decide whether you're guilty or innocent. Not just some judge. It's a group of 12 people that get together and decide on these things, and you get an attorney. However, most of the time, if you've committed a crime, it won't go to trial. And the reason for that is state courts, they want to get these cases out of the way. They've got so many cases coming through. They want to kind of settle them as quickly as they can. So a lot of times what will happen is they will say, this is what your punishment would be for committing the crime, but if you just admit to doing the crime, we'll give you a lesser punishment. There can be a lot of problems with this, but for better or worse, this is in large part how things get settled at the state level. Most civil cases are also decided in state courts. Civil cases meaning like disputes among people. So there's no crime committed in a civil case, but there's like a dispute. And someone in a class today brought up like Judge Judy. That's a great example. That's what's called small claims court. So it's not a lot of money, but that's a civil case. That's, people think, you should have paid me rent or something like that would be a civil case. So disputes amongst people is what they're talking about in civil cases. And most of them happen in state courts as well. And again, most of them are settled and not actually decided by a trial. So that's it for these notes. What you need to do afterwards is go on Google Classroom, like we're doing here. You're doing this federal courts reading. It's 6 questions at the end, 1 through 6, and you do them on this document. Let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, have a good day.